Protests broke out following the death of a 25-year-old woman and her newborn in Kerala's Palakkad district in a private hospital. Relatives allege medical negligence by the doctors. As per the family's version, the concerned doctors were absent during the delivery of the child on the 3rd of July. The expectant mother died due to excessive bleeding during childbirth, and her newborn died as well. The incident has sparked huge protests outside the hospital, with family members demanding that the concerned doctor should be arrested. Police have registered a case against the doctor on duty under medical negligence. The probe is underway. Those are the pictures of the relatives who are anguished over this incident. It's a young girl, a 25-year-old girl, who died during childbirth. The family says it's a sheer case of medical negligence. Large crowds have gathered outside the private hospital demanding justice, and also pointing out to the fact that the doctor on duty, the doctor who was supposed to attend to her, was not present, and that caused something to go wrong during the childbirth process. The young girl of 25 years old died in the hospital, and also her newborn could not survive. So we are running on your screens right now how this is not the first time in Kerala that such a thing has happened. Recent cases of medical apathy include the one that took place on the 20th of June in Thiruvananthapuram, where a 4-hour delay in a kidney transplant killed a patient. 7th of June in Kozhikode, again a wrong injection killed a boy. The doctor and the nurse in that case arrested. 8th of April in Kochi, 19-year-old dies after taking Covishield. So these are cases, recent cases in Kerala that have this particular issue of medical negligence called out in each of these cases. Let me, in fact, introduce our panel this evening. Dr. J.A. Jayalal, former National President of IMA, and Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairperson of Nephron Clinics. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Before I come to you, let me have my colleague Vivek Karindalam give us the story from Palakkad. What exactly happened there? To what extent is this a case of medical negligence? Vivek, if you can hear me, just wanted to know from you the sequence of events. Large crowds have gathered there, angry relatives, but we are extremely careful in blaming doctors. We do know that there have been cases of violence on doctors where it is not justified, where relatives do not want to either accept the complications in the case and blame it on the doctors. But it seems this is not one of those cases, Vivek. But I will leave it to you to give us the true understanding of what happened in Palakkad.
Yes, Afrida, as far as this particular incident is concerned, this is one of a rare incident that happens, in Kerala. Remember, the rural infrastructure, health infrastructure in Kerala is, compared to other states, is very, very good. And also, you need to understand that healthcare as a whole in Kerala has been well appreciated. But as far as this particular case is concerned in Palakkad, in a private hospital in Yakara in Palakkad, it's named as Tangam Hospital. And this 25-year-old woman was being treated here for the last 7 months. And the day before yesterday that she was admitted out here. And yesterday morning during the delivery, the delivery procedure was taking place in the morning, her family was informed that her newborn was died. The doctors who were in duty at that point of time said that the baby wasn't crying. But later after that, when the family was trying to reach out to them, they were not giving any specific reply. Later, after 1 hour, it's around 7:30, they informed that the newborn is dead, and the cremation was also conducted. What we understand is that the protocols was not followed, following which the families and the locals were protesting outside the hostel yesterday in Palakkad, and they were demanding the exact reason. What they understood at one point of time is that the concerned doctor, has not conducted this operation. It was a different doctor, and they were also not ready to give the details of this. But yesterday, after that, the mother, that's the 25-year-old, was in ICU. She was in ventilator, and they did not give the exact reason of why she was in ventilator. And today morning, she was declared dead. And what we understand is that there was no proper coordination between the family members. The doctors, the officials in the hospital was not conveying what exactly happened. So there was something, there is a conspiracy that's been alleged. Now they say that, the doctor in charge was not there and some other doctor performed the duty at that point of time, which the family members are questioning right now. The RDO says that once the postmortem of the 25-year-old woman is over, that they will give a clear picture. If at all they find that there is negligence, action will be taken. Also, we understand that a case has been registered against the duty doctor, under Section 304A, and we understand that the
So we
investigation
are still waiting, Vivek, for the autopsy reports, and very shocking that first the mother dies and then the infant also dies, and the infant is promptly buried. The body had to be exhumed and then postmortem conducted. These are absolutely shocking details. Thanks, Vivek, for joining us. Let's listen in also to one of the probe officers and I believe a relative of the deceased.
നടപടിക്ക് തൃശ്ശൂർ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിലേക്ക് തന്നെയാണ് അല്ല ഇവിടെ അല്ല ജില്ലാ ആശുപത്രിയിൽ പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇന്ന് ഈ മരിച്ചതിനും ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവരുടെ ആവശ്യം ഡോക്ടർ വന്ന് പറയണം മരണകാരണം എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ഈ ഡോക്ടർ പറയുന്ന കാരണം അക്സെപ്റ്റബിൾ അല്ലാത്തത് കൊണ്ടാണ് പ്രശ്നം. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഈ ബോഡി വീണ്ടും ഇൻക്വസ്റ്റ് നടത്താനും പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം നടത്താനും ഇൻക്വസ്റ്റ് ഇവിടെ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം നടത്താനായിട്ട് തൃശ്ശൂർ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിലേക്കാണ് അയക്കുന്നത്. അവിടുന്ന് പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം റിപ്പോർട്ട് കിട്ടി, അതുപോലെ ഇൻറ്റേർണൽ ഓർഗൻസൊക്കെ പരിശോധിച്ച് മരണകാരണം വ്യക്തമാക്കുന്നതിന് അനുസരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ എന്തായാലും നടപടി സ്വീകരിക്കുന്ന ജില്ലാ കളക്ടർ ഉറപ്പ് തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ DYSPയും എല്ലാവരും എന്തായാലും ഇത് ഇവരുടെ സൈഡിലുള്ള നെഗ്ലിജൻസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായും നടപടി എടുക്കുന്നതായിരിക്കും.
മനസ്സിലായല്ലോ? നിങ്ങൾ മറ്റേ ആൾക്കാരെ വേറെ പേഷ്യൻസ് ഇല്ലേ? നാളെ വേറെ ഒരു പേഷ്യന്റ് വന്നിട്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ സമരം കൊണ്ട് വേറെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കുന്ന റെസ്പോൺസിബിളായിരിക്കും. അല്ല അത് മനസ്സിലായല്ലോ? അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിരിക്കും. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ബോധവാന്മാരാണ്. ഇപ്പത്തെ ഇവിടെ ഒന്നും രണ്ടും വിഷയങ്ങളല്ല. അതിനാൽ ഇത്ര കാര്യങ്ങൾ അതിന്റെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിന്റെ ആ മര്യാദ പാലിച്ചിട്ട് തന്നെയാണ് കുറെ കാലങ്ങളായിട്ട് പോകുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ഇനിയും ഇത് ഇങ്ങനെ മര്യാദയ്ക്ക് പോകാൻ ഈ ഡോക്ടർമാരെ അനുവദിക്കില്ല. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ സാർ വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് ബോധ്യപ്പെട്ടതെന്ന് ഞാൻ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടി ഈ പോലീസിന്റെ അന്വേഷണം നമ്മൾ ഇൻക്വസ്റ്റും പോസ്റ്റ്മോർട്ടം നടത്തി നമ്മൾ റിപ്പോർട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നതനുസരിച്ച് നമുക്ക് നടപടി ചെയ്യാം. നടത്തും. കേസ് എന്തായാലും എടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ. കേസ് എടുത്തു.
Okay, let me go across to Dr. J.A. Jailal with us this evening. Dr. Jailal, there are a number of such instances that we keep reporting, but it's really, disturbing to see that here is a case in a private hospital in Palakkad where a young mother lost her life along with her newborn, and we know that something is amiss here. Do you think that rural health care in places like Palakkad still lie in shambles? There is no one to sort of monitor those hospitals that are operating with impunity and getting away with these kind of cases?
Yeah, first of all, we express our condolences for the death of that lady and the boy. But unfortunately, as you said, the rural health is definitely not on the shamble. If you look back in 1947, if there is a 1 lakh deliveries, out of that 200 mothers were dying. Now, in our age, in India, we are getting 2 deaths. In spite of all our development, maternal mortality is still there due to various reasons. It is not only in India, any Western country, it is not rural, it is in urban areas also. The maternal death is inevitable due to various congenital anomalies, various blood disorders. What we are looking at how you are going to manage that situation. If you are going to put the blame on the doctor always, like what we had in Archana Patel case in the Rajasthan, where the doctor has to commit suicide because the violence of the people were committing that. If that is the trend which is going on, that we are going for a very, very negative way, then doctors will try to escape themselves.
But isn't it true, Dr. Jalal, that in these kind of back of the beyond places, the doctor on duty sometimes is not present, a junior person is allotted a job, sometimes complications arise and this kind of untoward incidents happen?
Yes, of course, it has to happen. But how you are going to factor that? If you are going to make it by assault on the hospital, assault on the doctor, and that is not going to be the result. of that. We do not come in the way. If the doctor is found guilty, definitely we need to take action. There are so many laws and so many ways in which you can take action on that. Just because the crowd can be assembled, crowd can be accumulated, that if the doctor is put on the blind side, that is going to be a negative situation.
Yes.
It is not going to be a positive situation going to happen.
Yes,
I
therefore,
agree
we are not saying, we are saying this is alleged medical negligence. We don't know yet. This is a case under investigation. But therefore, I also read out the number of instances that have happened in Kerala before. This is not a one-off case. In many of the rural health clinics, these kind of unfortunate incidents have happened. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, where do you stand on this? Because this is basic, isn't it? For the citizens of this country, rural health care is something for any government should be top of the line priority. Why do we see these kind of instances of medical apathy happening with alarming regularity?
Good evening everyone. First and foremost, my prayers for the family who suffered such a huge loss of the mother and a small child, a newborn infant. But I think overall, if you look at the huge entire aspect, the gamut of medical negligence, we need a very, very balanced approach. I think this has to be a metered, calculated judgment which we must give based on facts and not on emotions. Now, medical negligence is a willful act or a deviation from minimum standard norms of care, investigation, or treatment. This has to be documented and proven. Having said that, I think a lot of issues really come up is by non-presence of the medical professionals or non-availability of the minimum infrastructure, or indeed poor communication. I stress on this word poor communication because if the communication is good, there is transparency, there are chartered rights of patients, right of information, fair and transparent communication, communication of the fee structure, patient redressal system, and informed consent. It has to be an informed consent. Just focusing on this particular incident of a mother dying, first the child, the newborn, and then the mother dying, the post-mortem may not really reveal the entire picture. It's the antenatal care, the non-stress test, the fetal heart rate, the maternal well-being just before delivery. I think those facts need to be ascertained.
You know, why we were questioning, and my colleague was saying this, that the newborn was cremated in a hurry. How can the hospital do that? Isn't there a set procedure in that as well, Dr. Bagai?
Yeah, so I think there is a system in place in which all patients' queries should be addressed. There is a redressal system. All hospitals would have a committee of expert committee. There is a state forum. There is a national forum. If the doctor is found negligent, let the law take its course. If the doctor needs to be suspended, so be it. But let us not hang the doctor before the entire episode is investigated in a fair and just manner. What I'm really scared about is doctor assaults on medical professionals, putting stress and mental trauma on the doctors and pushing doctors towards a complete panic and indeed, like in Rajasthan, a suicide. But yes, I must add, if a medical professional is found guilty in negligence by an expert, fair and neutral committee, no power on earth should spare the medical professional. But let the inquiry be a fair and just. Let us prove that it was medical negligence and then take a call. But this is an extremely unfortunate incident. Last 30 seconds, I must add, the real issue really here is all over India, we need specialized hospitals, specialized centers for maternal and child care, what we call as women and child care. This is one of the hugely neglected aspects of Indian healthcare systems. Children or mothers are not equivalent to other adults. They require specialized equipment, specialized infrastructure, specialists to manage it, be it a normal delivery or a cesarean. There are known complications in these procedures. So I don't want a common person to understand that a complication of a procedure, which is a well-expected norm, should be equivalent to negligence. What we need to prove is that there was a willful act of omission or commission. If that is proven so, then the doctor is held guilty.
Undoubtedly, I take your point, Dr. Bagai, but Dr. Jalal, you know, two things which are not adding up. One, the fact that there was excessive bleeding, I don't think that is considered to be a major, complication. Please correct me if I'm wrong. With timely intervention, the lady could have been saved. That is number one. Number two, the newborn body had to be exhumed for an investigation, which means there was some sort of a hush-up by the hospital in this case.
Yeah, I
Dr.
agree on
Jayalal.
you that newborn, if it is the hospital has buried that, definitely it is a negligence. I will put it there on the foresight. But what we are getting the news, it is not that hospital, it is only the relatives has taken the baby and then cremated it, then that has to be exhumed. No hospital as such, they will go for the cremation of the baby. Please check the fact, because that's the fact what we are getting from the Palakkad is, it is not that hospital, it is the relatives has taken and they have cremated the baby. The second one, the bleeding after the delivery is the most dreaded thing. We call it as a postpartum hemorrhage. A stage it is goes to the level, the bleeding will not control. Normally the bleeding will stop with the uterus going for contraction. But if the pre-operatively or prenatally, if the patient is anemic or if the patient has some other problem, he will definitely go into the problem PPH. Then we need to intervene. Maybe they have to do the hysterectomy, and in this case, they have immediately intervened. They have done a hysterectomy. Now they say they're without consent. I think what the investigation is proving, they have got the consent from the parents, and they have done a hysterectomy. In spite of taking all these measures, this death is happening.
Okay.
It is never a negligence if there is such a kind of measures is taken and a postpartum hemorrhage, and still with the death is happening. It is definitely there are various incidents are happening due to many unavoidable reasons on that. So let us not go by this emotion of the people, emotion of the crowd. Just because the crowd is assembling, let us not do the say that the doctor herself is in fault.
But tell me, Dr. Jayalal, is there a real concern on manpower in the rural areas? Is there a paucity of doctors? Does it happen, typically that a hospital like this can operate with people who are not competent to do these kind of surgeries or preside over childbirths?
We're talking about some of the states in North India where the doctor population is less. Definitely it would have been a possibility. Now, if we take in the Kerala, there is an excess number of doctors are there. The rural areas are the most of the health infrastructure is good. Almost Kerala has 98% institutional delivery. Even the home delivery is not happening, the institutional delivery. Look into in this case, for the last 7 months, the same mother is taking antenatal checkup from the same hospital. Okay. It is not that the hospital is a new one. The patients well know that hospital, the relatives know the hospital. They are taking continuously, they are taking the 7 months treatment. And incidentally, this mishap is happening. Definitely, it is things to be funded. We need to improve. If there is infrastructure deficiency, it need to be improved. If there is a difficulty or the fault on the doctor needs to be punished, and we will not come on the way. But yes, only our appeal is, please allow to take it in a positive way. Take it in a way in which you can discuss, not on.
Yes, this matter has escalated, and one can see the crowds outside the hospital. We thought it's important to take this up, whether it's Palakkad or any other place in this country. When something like this happens, we question the authorities. We check whether there has been any lapses on the part of the authorities in providing basic health care. Most the experts here feel that we must wait for a fair investigation and not come to a conclusion. I appreciate your joining us, Dr. Jayalal and Dr. Sanjeev Bhagat. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Let's take a short break. When we return on the other side, we'll tell you more on the Indigo flight's delay and how passengers have suffered over the weekend because of the delays in the flights.